All righty, here we go. Brand new Flyers Daily for the 20th of November, 2025. Flyers Daily presented by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. Flyers will finally be back in action tonight after, I guess, 4 days since their last game. And they'll be taking on the St. Louis Blues, the team they took on 2 games ago and had that crazy finish in St. Louis where the Flyers won the game 6-5 in the shootout, overcame 2-goal deficits in the game to grab the 2 points. Since then, the St. Louis Blues have lost to Vegas at home 4-1, and then they lost to Toronto on Tuesday 3-2 in Toronto in overtime. The Flyers, since that game against St. Louis, they were in Dallas on Saturday, and they lost 5-1. So they've only played the one game. They should be well rested. You hope it's not rust in light of rest. But I know they had some pretty vigorous practices, worked on some things, and we'll see if they show up on the ice tonight for Hockey Fights Cancer Night at Xfinity Mobile Arena. Yours truly will be dropping the ceremonial puck to start the festivities just around 7 o'clock, and it's going to be a great night. I believe my care team's going to be with me, my doctors, and we'll get the party started at Xfinity Mobile Arena with the ceremonial puck drop. I'm wondering if I should, and I'd love to get people's comments on this. You can always tweet me at Jason Myrtetus on X, or just drop a comment below if you're on YouTube. If when I do the ceremonial puck drop, it'll be between the two captains, Sean Couturier and Braden Shen. And we know Braden Shen. He was here for a long time. Should I give him because there's so many people getting kicked out of the faceoff circle. Should I give Shen you're out of here, and kick him out of the faceoff circle? You never know. I may end up doing that. Bring in somebody else to take the draw. But it will be the Flyers and the Blues tonight. Blues struggling. They're a team that gives up the most goals allowed per average per game played, 3.80. They're scoring 2.75 goals per game, which is actually more than the Flyers. Flyers are scoring 2.6. Flyers got to find a way to generate more offense. I said the other day in the episode, the biggest thing the Flyers need to work on is defending less and being the team with the puck more. Cut down those times when a team has you hemmed in. Get the play killed faster, get going the other way. And by doing that, you'll generate more offense. That's what they've got to do. It seems like they've been, of late, been trapped in their own zone for extended periods of time far too often, and therefore you're defending too much. And when you're defending too much, you don't have the puck, you're not attacking. So it'll be the Flyers and the Blues tonight at Xfinity Mobile Arena. And the Flyers coming up this week. We'll be back in action on Saturday when the New Jersey Devils come to town, minus Jack Hughes. What a bizarre story this is. And he's going to be not sure exactly what happened. I haven't seen anybody report the details of how he was injured and had to have a surgery and be out for so long. But that'll also be a special day as we honor now the late, great Bernard Marcel Perrant before that game. So that'll be a great day coming up on Saturday at Xfinity Mobile Arena. Then the Flyers going to head on the road for 4 games. They'll head to Tampa on Monday, Florida on Wednesday, the Island the following Friday, and Saturday on the road at the Prudential Center against the New Jersey Devils. But it's the Blues tonight. 2 points up for grabs on what is a light week. Flyers are the only team in the NHL that's only played 18 games. Every other team has played at least 19. Some have played 21. Let's get on with this. Let's get the schedule going here. It's going to be jam-packed at some point, but they have a lighter schedule so far than any other team. They're sitting in the 7th spot, the Metro. Part of that is the team ahead of them, the New York Rangers, has 22 points. Flyers have 21, but the Flyers have 3 games in hand. We're only a quarter into the season, and they've got 3 games in hand. They're 1 point back of the Blue Jackets, the Flyers have 2 games in hand on. The 3 points back of the Islanders, who they have 2 games in hand on, and they are 3 points back of the Penguins, who they have a game in hand on. So things still tight in the Metro, in the Eastern Conference for sure, and 2 points and hopefully regulation 2 points coming up tonight. Not that that matters against St. Louis because they're not in the conference, but the Flyers need to get some regulation wins. They've made a lot of business here. Going extras so far, 11 one-goal games, 8 games of 18 that had to be solved in either overtime or the shootout. Like to get one of those rocking chair ride wins. We'll see if they can do it. Didn't happen last time against St. Louis. We'll see if it happens tonight. All right. So in this episode, we are celebrating Hockey Fights Cancer Night at Xfinity Mobile Arena. And it's a great initiative that the National Hockey League does to raise money, awareness, and everything else. And you guys know part of my message is about awareness and advocating for yourself. And I thought for this episode, the best person to bring on to have a conversation with would be Eddie Olczyk, who was a tremendous resource for me through this process. Once I made my diagnosis public, I got a call from Edzo, having gone through this back in 2018 in his own colorectal battle with stage 3 cancer. Our stories are very similar. He was a tremendous resource for me, and he wrote a great book kind of detailing and chronicling not only his hockey life, but his battle against colorectal cancer. So a lot of times on Flyers Daily, we say a lot of words, but the words that you'll hear in this conversation, they mean more. So here's my conversation from the NHL on TNT, Eddie Olczyk. It is a brand new episode of Flyers Daily, a special episode of Flyers Daily, as tonight's game is the Hockey Fights Cancer game at Xfinity Mobile Arena when the Flyers take on the St. Louis Blues. And I'm very happy to have as our guest on this special occasion from the NHL on TNT, former 3rd overall pick, great American player as well, Mr. Eddie Olczyk. Edzo, how are you?
Hey, Jay, nice to be with you, man. And emotional time. Obviously, it's hit us directly. I'm glad to know that you're battling and you're on the right side of this thing. So I'm proud of you. I love you. I know a lot of Flyer fans out there feel the same way, and it's great to be able to chat with you. And this month is it's very emotional. With Hockey Fights Cancer, the month of November, and I think it's the greatest initiative the National Hockey League has taken on, and obviously the league has done a lot of amazing things. The teams, the players, the organization, and obviously our great fans throughout the National Hockey League. And it's something where I hope someday that it's not Hockey Fights Cancer anymore. It's Hockey Beats Cancer, and we can celebrate and honor the people that we have lost, but also for the people that are currently in, and unfortunately the people that might be battling it down the road. So every dollar counts, every move by anybody involved with the National Hockey League is important. And I appreciate you having me on a special night there in Philly. And some of my closest friends in the game are part of the Flyers family. Obviously, the great Paul Holmgren, who's been a mentor to me for a long, long time and was right there beside me when I was battling my stage 3 colon cancer some 8 years ago. Obviously, Jonesy, the legendary Keith Jones, was with me when I was in my battle at NBC at that particular time. And of course, my current teammate with TNT right now, Brian Boucher. So it means a lot, and I appreciate you thinking of me and having me on your show. And obviously, us on the same team together, Jay. Not the team that we wanted to probably be on at any time in our life, but I think that we can be an example to people out there that are, like I said, that are either in the battle, have been in the battle, or are going to be in the battle, and maybe learn a little bit about our stories. So I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, you were lucky enough to be drafted to your hometown team in the NHL, and then you get drafted to this team, a team that none of us wanted to be drafted to.
Right.
When you look back all these years later, and your battle was 8 years ago.
Yeah,
it still impacts you day to day. I saw you on the NHL and TNT for when you opened up the broadcast for Hockey Fights Cancer Month last year. You really discussed the caregivers and the role that they play, and it's insurmountable what they're able to do to help us battle this awful disease. But that nobody fights this alone. When you look back, believe that it's been 8 years since your life changed.
Yeah. I mean, I'm lucky to be on the right side of the grass. There's no doubt about it. I don't know I don't know why. I know how, because I had an unbelievable team of doctors in Chicago, my hometown, and where I still live. At that particular time, I was working for NBC and, for the NHL and NBC, and I was doing games locally in my hometown for the Blackhawks. And I had two unbelievable employers, Jay, that allowed me to rest when I needed to rest. They were very compassionate. They encouraged me. If I wasn't feeling well, they took it upon themselves and said, you're not working. You stay home. And I had an unbelievable support staff, from my hockey family and then my horse racing family as well. And then my immediate family, my wife, Diana, we've been married a long time. We've been married almost 38 years. And, if it wasn't for her, like you mentioned, a caretaker and caregiver, I wouldn't be here. There's no doubt, because, there are plenty of emotional roller coasters and, and having to share the news with my kids. And, you just feel like when you're sick, and we've talked about this over our conversations, that, you kind of feel like you're a burden, right? You feel like when you're sick, you feel like you've let people down. You don't want, you want to do things for yourselves. And I think what I learned first and foremost was, I had to stop being selfish, and I had to let the people that wanted to help. And I'm not talking about the doctors. I'm just talking about my immediate family, the people I'm living with for, 22 or 23 hours a day. If I'm not at the hospital taking my meds, is, you gotta let them love you, because it's good for them too. It's good for them, because they feel helpless. And I had to learn that. I had to learn that very quickly. And then when I got into my second treatment, I hit a turning point in my life. It's not dramatic. I'm just telling you, it was a turning point in my life where I was ready to quit. I was in my second treatment, and I know you know this story, but I think it's important to share it with everybody out there, is that I had so many side effects from my chemo, because I was getting 4 hours of chemo at the hospital every other Monday for 6 months. And then they would send me home for 48 hours, and I'd have the pump, and, the pump would go off it would make that sound every 90 seconds. And,
I hated it.
had enough quiet time to last me a lifetime. And it does test your will to live. And for me, it was, I had side effects of neuropathy, tough time swallowing, massive nosebleeds, blood clots, and I would just have no control over my bowel or any bowel movements. It would just be all of a sudden in my second treatment, I just would crap the floor. I just shit the floor. And I'm like, I can't live like this. I'm quitting.
There's no dignity left, right?
Exactly. I'm going to rip this port out of my chest, and whatever happens, happens. I'm not going to put my family through this, and I'm not going to live like this. And I got the greatest inspirational talk that I ever got. And it wasn't in a locker room. And I've been in a lot of locker rooms, and I've talked to a lot of people that are well respected, not only in the hockey community, but in the world we live in. And my wife and I had a conversation. It was pretty much one way from my wife. It lasted about 20 minutes, and I cried for 25 of it. And she just told me, you got to fight. You got to fight for me. You got to fight for your kids, and you got to fight for all the people that love you. And like I said, I had never quitted anything in my life, but this brought me to my knees. And if it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't be here. I know that for sure, because as you know, when you're going through the treatment and you're in the battle, you have enough, as I said earlier, you have enough quiet time to last you a lifetime. I spent 17 hours a day in our basement when I wasn't working or at the hospital. So,
me too.
I had a lot of time to think, but for me, I got lucky. I don't know why and how I made it, but I believe that there was a reason why. And I'm hoping that I have been able to, and will try to continue to inspire one person that hears me talk about my battle and my journey, and can live and can feel a lot of the things that I have felt, and just help them not necessarily get through the treatment, Jay, as we know, but it's just like getting through the day. Like it's just like
minute to minute.
yeah, like when I was ready to bail my second treatment in, and I'm like, how am I can't get through today. How am I going to get through the next 10 treatments, which is 5 months? I tried to conceptualize that and understand, but it was just like, okay, I'm going to put my hockey helmet back on. I'm going to try to become a player again and just go, you know what? I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna work at it. It's gonna
Hop
be
over the boards.
hard, but then just go put my head down at night. And when I wake up, and hopefully I wake up the next morning, that I'm going to be able to rinse and repeat and do it again. So I do want to say this before we move on. I do want to say, and I know you have the same respect for this gentleman. And I mentioned Homer and I mentioned Jonesy in particular, because those two guys really, I mean, they were there every step of the way for me and really went out of their way and checked up on me. And that really, that helped. That helped immensely. And I can't emphasize that enough. But also, John Tortorella, when he was in Columbus, obviously before he eventually ended up in Philly, Torts, who I never played for, who I came across, you know, mentioned American-born hockey player myself. I mean, Torts, an American-born coach in this league and for USA Hockey for many, many years. Torts reached out often, and that meant a lot to me, because here's somebody that is a part of the NHL and I respected. Like I said, never played for, but played against them and coached against them and all those type of things. But he was always somebody that had a proper word or a text or a conversation while I was in my battle, and I'll be forever grateful for Torts for caring and just, you know, reaching out, because a lot of times people don't know what to say, Jay.
No, they don't. Yeah, you're right.
But just the thought meant a lot to me, and like I said, I'll be forever grateful for him going out of his way. And I know you're not surprised, and I hope a lot of Flyer fans, because he's a tremendous representative of our game, and even more so in society, of how he has a great care for others, and that at the end of the day, that means as much as winning and championships and Stanley Cups, and but he really did. It meant a lot to me for him to, that whole organization in Columbus, led by John Davidson at the time. But you know, JD and Torts were really classful. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, with him, I don't know how he knew that the way to get the most out of me in coaching was to coach me hard. They weren't conventional messages. How you doing? He wasn't like, you know, soft. No, it was, oh, you got treatment tomorrow. Don't F it up. I don't want to hear that you effed up your treatment or something like that. But that works for me. And that was such a different message that I heard. Will you tell your wife that we appreciate everything she did, because what she told you, I think she told more than you in reading your book and beating the odds. That was telling a lot of people to do what she wanted you to do, to fight. Like, her words weren't just to you because you relayed them in beating the odds. And I read the book. I talked to you before I was even diagnosed, and you talking about, I remember when I got my treatment plan, I came home and I saw 72 doctor's appointments in my portal. And I almost fainted. I said, how the hell am I going to go to 70? I can't make 2, let alone 72.
Yeah.
But I remember reading your book and you talking about, I got to take this shift by shift. Now, I was a goalie, so unless I got the hook. But I said, I coached long enough. I know what it's like to chuck guys over the boards and go out there and earn your next one. And I just had to take it like that in the game. And the other thing you said, you know, having that employer to remove the guilt of missing work is very, because it's so isolating and you feel guilty with everything you're putting everybody through, and you're missing work and you feel guilty to your employer. The way the Flyers handled it with me, there was no guilt. They removed that part of the equation. Like, that is enormous for us when you're going through, because you need every ounce you got in this fight.
Yeah, it is so important. And I'm not surprised. I mean, I think anybody that, you know, you mentioned reading my book, and I never had any aspirations of writing a book. As I told Jonesy, I said, at least my book didn't come with crayons,
Yeah, it's
and
grammatically correct.
yeah, and I I think I felt that once I got sick and then I came out on the right side of it. I mean, because look at cancers. I see when I look in the mirror every day, I see somebody that has battled cancer. So I never ever get away. You never get away from it. I don't care
No.
where you are in your life of it. But I think when I decided to think about actually doing the book, it was like, okay, well, I've had a pretty I've had a pretty good life and a pretty good career, and maybe I can inspire some young aspiring hockey players or broadcasters or whatever it might be, in life in general. But then when I was able to tackle my battle with stage 3 colon cancer, it was, well, you know what, maybe I can help somebody out there. And look at my goal, and I've said it thousands of times, is that I hope that anytime I speak, and whether it's today with you, Jay, or it's through my book or my TNT or whatever it is that if there's one person out there that I can inspire with my story and say, hey, if that old broken down hockey player and horse player can do it, well, I can do it too. And to know that, what, yeah, sometimes you're going to get drilled in the face and it's going to feel like it's nonstop for days on end, is that it's okay to feel defeated at times. It's just human nature, but you got to have that goal. You got to have that carrot hanging in front of you. And I think that was what I think ultimately turned my decision on saying, you know what? Yeah, screw it. I'm going to try it. I'm going to write the book. And if we can help somebody out there, then it was well worth the, 10 or 12 months of pen to paper to try to figure out a plan. And I'm very proud of it. And I had a lot of help. Perry Lefko, who was the writer for my book, did an amazing job. And it's something I'm very proud of. And look, I'll be honest, there's things that I've obviously learned over the years now that I wish I could have added into the book, because there is this post learning that you do is once you get on the other side of it, and then the dealings of being a cancer survivor is when you are asked and leaned on to help people that are in the battle. There is that the psychological part of it is that, sometimes it works out well, and then sometimes it doesn't, and people, don't come out on the right end of it. And I don't like saying losing the battle to cancer, because I think everybody battles as hard as they can. And just unfortunately, I do believe, Jay, is that things happen for a reason, and sometimes it's in the cards and sometimes it isn't. Like I don't know what other way to really say it than I believe that. And there is a guilt of survivorship that that I've been going through and have been getting help on, and I think it's very real. I never thought anything like that before, but so it is still with me. It's a part of my family's life, but at the end of the day, there was a reason I got it. And what I've learned about it now and what I know about it, I'm glad that Eddie Olczyk was the one that was sick and was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer, because it bothers me to no end of people in my life, and we all have a circle, is when you get that call and somebody is looking to, for somebody to lean on. It hurts, and you want to say the right things, and you hope that they can be on the right side of the grass as I am, for the next 50 or 75 or 100, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it's one of those stumbling blocks post treatment and being on the right side of it, where it's still very much with you every day, and that's okay. But want to continue to stay well and inspire and help one person. And again, I thank you very much for allowing me to be on with you. And I'm so happy for the great news that you've received. And, I know it's still very raw for you and your family, but I'm proud of you. And I'm glad that, you're able to do what you still love to do and be a part of the Flyers family. And I look forward to seeing you sooner than later and giving you a big hug and have a laugh too, because we've
Gotta
done
enjoy it,
enough.
man.
We've done enough shedding of the tears over
Yeah.
the years, right? So to have an embrace like that, I look forward to that. And like I said, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk to the great Flyer fans. I want to say this. I don't know if people know this, and I think most people, I've been out of the game playing wise for a long, long time. I grew up in Chicago, and the Blackhawks have always been my team. They always will be. But I was a Flyer fan too growing up, and the reason why I wore number 16, I think everybody in
Robert Earl
and Flyerville would know. I was a big, I was a large Bobby Clarke fan. I didn't play anything like Clarkie, except in one area, or two areas. One, the willingness to go to the front of the net, and two, in the face-off dot. I used to emulate Mr. Clarke when I was a kid, and that's why I wear number 16. I was born on August the 16th, which probably helped a little bit, but I love Clarkie, and just like I said, some of my closest friends and mentors are and have been a part of the Flyer family for a very, very long time. And I do want to say this is that when I was playing in Winnipeg, and I want to say, I don't remember the year, so excuse me, but I believe it was in the late 80s. One of the hockey card companies asked the players, like, who was your idol when you were a kid, or who was your idol? And so I told them, mine was Bobby Clarke. And they came out with, the cards were called Idol. And they had a picture of the current player in the forefront. And then just over the shoulder was a picture of the player's idol. So I have a hockey card
with
of
you
myself.
and Clarkie.
Yeah, I have a hockey card of myself in a blue Winnipeg Jets away uniform.
Beautiful,
and
by the way.
In the background is Bobby Clarke in a home Flyer sweater, if I can remember properly. So I got a bunch of those cards, and I said, you know what? Next time I see my idol, and I think at that time, Clarkie could have been in Florida, right? He was with Florida for a period of time, right?
Yeah.
So
took him to the final.
I ran into him, and I just kind of like, I was a player, and I'm just like, Mr. Clarke, I don't know if you know this, but you were my favorite player growing up. You were my idol, and I have these hockey cards here. Would you sign them, for me? And sure enough, he took the time. He signed seven cards, and I have those at home, and I'll be forever grateful for him for taking the time for doing that. But so my ties to the Philadelphia Flyers goes back a very long way, and probably one team I wish I would have had a chance to put on that sweater over my 16 years in the NHL, and obviously being on the other side of the line in the sand there, having played for the Penguins and coached in Pittsburgh and broadcast in Pittsburgh, and then played for the Rangers and won a cup with the Rangers in '94. I'm sure there are some Flyer fans over the years that really don't like me, and that's okay. But I just want everybody to know, I know you know the story, but Bobby Clarke was yours truly's favorite player growing up. And it's always great to cross paths with him over my time in the National Hockey League, and especially when he's back in Philly.
There it is right there. Clarkie with the teeth missing. There's Edzo in that blue, beautiful Winnipeg setup.
Yeah.
And that's the card you're talking about. I was able to find
Yeah.
it while you were talking
So
about it.
just so you know, that is one card, at least that I have chosen not to sign.
Wow.
So there's only, as far as I know, there's only 7 cards that have the signature of Bobby Clark and Eddie Olczyk out there, and I happen to have all 7.
That's great. That is fantastic. Let me ask you about this year's team.
Yeah.
What have you seen out of the Flyers so far? Rick Tocchet, a guy you know very well, was a part of
Yeah.
the NHL and TNT. You've
Yeah.
known Tock for a long time. A lot of
Yeah.
connections there, obviously.
Yeah.
What have you seen?
Yeah. I mean, I think, the addition of Trevor Zegras has really given them somebody
Yeah.
that can be a game breaker, a playmaker. If that's probably even a better way to say it, because he has the courage and the ability, as you know, Jay, to be able to make plays that look at not a lot of guys would try, let alone be able to to be able to find a way to be on the right side of it. So I think getting him, he looks like he's very comfortable there. He looks like he has become a leader under Rick Tocchet. And look, we know how Tock is, and there's a certain way you're going to go about the business. And I think that Trevor Zegras has responded. I think he has responded, extremely well. Getting Drysdale, it looks like he's healthy. It looks like he's being a little bit more assertive in his play and being a little bit more the type of player I think that Danny and Jonesy thought that they were getting when they made the trade with Anaheim. So that's obviously been, a positive. So I think just, obviously the consistency part of any team, let alone the Flyers, is probably, what they're probably looking to, to improve on. The goaltending has been, has been spotty. Vladar has been a good pickup. He's played, I think, better than Ersson in at least in the short term of the first, what are we in the first quarter of the season so far? So, look at it's, the East. I was talking to Bush.
Bananas.
I was mentioning to Bush about just the Eastern Conference. And when I look at the Eastern Conference, honestly, Jay, I go, I see the Devils, I see Carolina, and I could make a case for 10 or 11 other teams.
Yeah.
So if you can go on a run here, if you can go on a 10-game run and get 7 of 10, if you can go, 8-1-1, whatever it is, if you can go on one of those runs, I think that's what the Flyers, would like to do, and then give themselves a really good opportunity, because I think the playoffs are there. I believe that they are. But I think two key guys for me. I mean, Michkov, it'll be interesting to see how he continues to mature, and can he be that guy? Because you do see flashes of it. There's no doubt about it. His game seems to be best below the top of the circle. In the offensive zone. There's no doubt about it. And I think that they need Konechny and Sanheim to get back to where they were, last year. So if you can do that, then all of a sudden at the Flyers, you can sit there and say, yeah, well, why can't we? Because I think that the Eastern Conference is absolutely a crapshoot. I really believe. Besides the Devils and Carolina, at least in my opinion. And at times the Rangers, they look like our 94 team on the road. Like, they look unbelievable. Yeah. I know they just lost to Vegas, recently, but and then at home, obviously it's been a really tough go so far for the Rangers at home. So why can't the Flyers put a run together and give themselves a legitimate chance to be playing, really meaningful games come post Olympics?
Yeah, go 8-2 over 10, or if you go 2-6 at some point, you're probably out of it. Like, it's crazy how tight it is.
Yeah.
Edzo, I want to let you go and prepare for your game tonight, but I just want to wrap up and telling you, the help that you provided me. You reached out to me right after I went public with my diagnosis, back around the holidays last year. And I talked to you right after I found out that my scans were clean, and people go, "Boy, that must be some feeling, it's great, go celebrate." And I told you, I said, "Yeah, I'm not really in any mood to celebrate." I felt that guilt like right away.
Yeah, right.
And your guidance through this and you being able to have you as a resource has meant so much to me and my family. So I just wanted to thank you and all the work. It's not just me. It's the work that you do with everybody. And whether you speak to them directly or not, or speak them, through a podcast like this or on the air at the NHL TNT, your words have meaning. So I just wanted to thank you on behalf of myself and a lot of other people, because you're helping a lot of people stay, connected to their fight when you want to throw in that towel. So I from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it.
Well, Jay, look, man, I love you. I'm so happy to see you. I'm so happy for you and your family. I know you've got a lot of people that care and love about you and help you get through your toughest challenge. And look at life. Life is not easy. And I do want to say, if I can, really quick, like this just isn't about cancer. Like I'm just
Anything.
I think we're talking about people that are in battles. I mean, life is hard. I mean, life is challenging, and we all have different things in our life that we have to be able to overcome and conquer. And but I think that if people can hear our stories and hopefully be inspired and get motivated and to understand that it is like an NHL season, right? You're going to go 10 games and you might win 2, and then you're going to go 10 games and you're going to feel like $1 million and you're going to think like you could beat anybody in the world because you go 9-0-1. That is very relatable, and it has been very real. And I know, as in our conversations, and I'm glad, and you're welcome, for our conversations that we had and in a lot of different directions. That's what we need to continue to do for the next person that picks up the phone and says, "Hey Jay, hey Edzo, this is what's happened, and what can I assume is going to happen? What kind of questions?" I remember you vividly asking me about, is there anything specifically that I can ask, my infusion nurse and the doctors, and I remember the one thing, I said, look, at the one thing I advise you to do is to make sure that you're someone in your family, whoever that is with you when you're meeting with these doctors, because when you're in that room and you're the one that is sick, you have the 1,000-yard stare, and you're not hearing anything. You're just sitting in that room and going, how am I in a doctor's office and they're telling me I have cancer? And how, like, it's just like, so
you're
just
in a movie.
little things like that go a long way. So I look forward to seeing you soon. I look forward to being in Philly, and if you ever need anything, you know where I am. And again, I can't thank enough, and I'm probably going overboard here, but it's important that Paul Holmgren and Keith Jones, 2 people that mean a lot to me, were there for me, and I continue to try to give back, and I appreciate you having me on today, and I love you, and I'm thinking about you, and keep grinding, right, day to day, and put your head down at night, and when you get up the next morning, we just keep battling and we keep fighting. It's always going to be with us, but hopefully we can help somebody that next day, and then all of a sudden it just becomes a domino effect, and at some point here we're all going to be on the right side of this thing.
Edzo, thanks for doing this. Love you, man.
Okay, Jay, be well, man.
Great to catch up with Eddie Olczyk. What a great man. Great man and tremendous resource for me. And he's out there advocating, getting the word out, to battle, to help people battle, to help caregivers of those people that are battling. So I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. Maybe we're enlightened by it, or inspired by it. So thanks to Edzo for joining us on this special edition of Flyers Daily. All right. Hockey Fights Cancer Night. We'll drop the puck on the to kick off the festivities tonight, and we'll talk about it and the game tomorrow on a brand new Flyers Daily.